I'm Rich Jones.
And I'm Sam Bluhm.
And today, we're making beer. We're here at Roundhouse Brewery with doing the Around the Town with Randall State Bank. I'm Rich Jones here with Sam Bluhm from Bluhm Capital Management and Chuck, the head brewmaster here at Roundhouse. Chuck, thanks for having us here today. Appreciate that.
Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're excited to be here. I know Sam's excited to be here.
I am excited to be here.
I guess, at the end of the day, people are always wondering, that great stuff that comes out of the tap out front, how do we get to that point? How do you get to that coming out of that tap today? And I guess really that's what we're looking to find out. So hoping that you can walk us through, and Sam, hop in and with questions as we go along. So maybe you can tell us. Obviously, this is called, I believe, the brew house.
This
back
is
here?
the brew house, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so
and this is where it starts. All the beer that we serve in the taps up front starts 30 feet back here.
Okay.
In the brew house.
Okay. Well, maybe just start us through the process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Starts up back here. So, starts with malted barley.
Okay.
You take barley, soak it in water, and it starts to sprout because it's a seed, and that's what seeds do.
Okay.
When it starts to sprout, it starts converting the starches that are in here into sugars, and that's what we're after, is those sugars. You dry it out, you have your malted barley. So, after it crushes there, it runs up here, into my mash tun. And if you want to come up here,
we'll take a step up here.
In the mash tun, I've got hot water running in through the spout, the grain's dropping down through here, and it's mixing up in here, and it's getting those sugars and caramel flavors and all that stuff. It'll steep in here with the water for about an hour.
Sure.
When it's done in there, I'll pump it over to my boil kettle here.
Okay.
Heat it up, start it to boiling. Boiling sterilizes it, so there's no bugs living in there.
Sure.
Then I'll add in the hops.
Okay.
The hops will add bitterness that helps offset that malty sweetness.
Okay.
They'll also add some of the flavor and some of the aroma to the beer.
Yep.
It'll boil in there for about an hour. After it's done, we go back across to one of the fermentation tanks over there. Then once it's in the fermentation tank, I'll add in the yeast. Yeast does its happy thing for 2 weeks to a month, again, depending on the kind of beer.
Okay.
Ales ferment warm, so they go faster.
Sure.
Lagers ferment cool, so they take a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And that's the only difference between an ale and a lager, is a lot of people don't know that. Ales ferment warm, lagers ferment cool.
So it just changes the flavor of the beer.
Changes the flavor profile.
Interesting. And so now, kind of going back to when you put the hops in then too, so obviously is there different kinds of hops that you can put in?
There's over 100 different varieties of hops. Some hops will add more bitterness, some hops are good for adding more aroma, some are multiple use. So I'll just add in the hops depending on what kind of hops, depending on what kind of bitterness I'm looking for, what kind of flavors and aromas I'm looking for.
Okay, all right. So the beer sits in here now fermenting for
a couple of
weeks to a month, depending on the type of beer you're doing. And then what?
Then I'll put it over here into our bright tank.
Okay.
And in the bright tank here is where I'll force carbonate it. I'll bubble carbon dioxide through there, and that gives the beer its fizz.
Okay.
It'll sit in here for about a day, and then I'll put it into the kegs, and then the kegs go into the cooler, and they're on their way to your glass.
That's when the magic happens.
That's when the magic happens.
Perfect. I really appreciate your time today.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming in.
You know what I think we should do, Sam?
Go have one?
We should go have a beer now. We should go try it and see what it comes out on the other end like.
Let's go do it.
All right, I like it. Thanks, Chuck. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, Sammy, we got to see the back of the house where the beer is made, and I think we should probably get a chance to try it now after all of that hard work, don't you think?
Definitely should. That wet my whistle. So,
yes, yeah, absolutely. Well, we're here with Mark Lelwica, one of the owners. Mark, thanks for having us here today. Appreciate
glad to be here.
it.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, we're super excited to be here. Obviously, Roundhouse, a local brewery. Kind of featuring that in around the town.
Yeah.
And so we really appreciate you having us and taking us back and give us a tour. And I guess, well, we talked about it already. Maybe we should try a beer and then you can fill us in a little bit on, how did Roundhouse come about, and just kind of what you guys' story is, because I think people would love to hear it. I think it's a neat story. So.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's
Yeah.
a beer-worthy story. I mean, every conversation is going to be better with a pint.
I feel like it is, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
That's kind of how that works. So,
You know what kind of beers you like? You like lighter, darker, hoppier, smoother?
I always kind of am under the opinion that you're the doctor when
All right.
it comes to making the beer. So I feel like you should be the one that tells us what kind of beer we have, don't you?
Could do that.
All right, I'll
Yeah.
give you a little sampling. IPAs are obviously really common, really popular beers right now.
Yeah.
And I'll hook you up with one of those. It's our Imperial IPA Golden Spike, and it's one of our more popular beers that we have. And then maybe just to round it out, I'll throw you like a Boom Lake Lager, a traditional lighter style beer, and you guys can give those a whirl.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Cool.
Well, Mark, tell us. So how did Roundhouse come to be?
Roundhouse was started out of the idea that Brainerd needed a brewery. Me and some friends got together and we sat down, ironically having a cup of coffee, and we just put the pen to paper and said, what can we do? Can we make this happen? What does it look like?
Right.
One of the biggest questions that came about with that in the process is, where do we do it?
Right.
And Brainerd's really historic, and the railroad built Brainerd, and there's just a kind of a natural connection that went with that. So we thought about this property, the old Northern Pacific rail yards, to be the perfect place to kind of connect with people and to connect with the history of the town.
Sure.
So once we came up with the location, the name Roundhouse kind of followed suit. Having Roundhouse being the historical building that used to be right outside our front door here at the rail yards.
Sure.
So once we got the idea together of what we wanted it to be and where we wanted it to be, we were able to land a brewer. Chuck, who you guys met, he was able to kind of
Sure.
show you around.
Yeah.
And from there, we started to put together the concept of what we wanted this to look like.
Sure. So obviously, there's three of you that are partners on the building or on the business.
Roundhouse is actually owned by 9 owners.
9 owners, okay.
Yep, there's 9 shareholders in the business.
Okay.
No way I'm going to let you guys drink alone, so let me join you.
I would think so.
Please do.
Yeah.
I would think so.
So 9 owners. 2 of us are what we call the owner operators.
Sure.
So we're the ones who kind of run the business side of things. I kind of oversee operations. Technically, I'm the president. Dan, my partner, is the kind of the CFO, the business person.
Okay.
And the people who are kind of the silent operators are just that. They were able to help fund the project to get it off the ground, and they help us make bigger decisions. But for the most part, Dan and I are running it right now. And there's kind of a history, a connection too. Dan, myself, and then Chuck, our brewer, all grew up in Staples.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
so there's kind of a family history that goes way back, and we sort of connected on this venture and got Roundhouse off the ground in April of 2016. So we're starting into our 3rd year, and I'd have to say that one of the things that's been probably most satisfying and yet kind of surprising at the same time is how this community's embraced us.
Yeah.
I mean, Brainerd's a small town. I mean, I think it has the vision that it's a bigger town for where it is, but it's a really tight-knit community, and it's really strong. And we are so excited and proud to be a part of that, and doing things involved with this community that on many, many different levels is really something that we've taken a lot of pride in what
Yeah.
we're doing. So,
Well, cheers to that.
Cheers to that is right,
what a
guys.
great community, and yeah, no, that's good.
Yum yum.
yeah.
And
You ask why we do it?
Yeah.
There you go.
yeah. So, Mark, I guess the last thing I'd like to do is just ask you, what are the 3 things that people might want to know that maybe they don't know about Roundhouse Brewery?
Sure. Well, I'd say the first thing is that we've got a beer selection. I think we've got a product that has been tested. We've been around, like I said, for 3 years. Our product is getting out in the market more and more, and that it's always changing. There's always something here that people will enjoy, and no matter what your taste in beer is, we really focus on keeping a spectrum of that. Keeping a wide variety of flavors, so that no matter what, someone walks in, we can find a beer that they like, and I think that's really important. It's just the variety and the selection that we have.
Sure.
Number 2 is the quality of service. I think it's really important that what we like to do is, on a lot of occasions, help educate the customer. We get a lot of people in here who really aren't, beer drinkers. If they're tagging along with a group or whatever the case may be, but they like the atmosphere in here. We've had a lot of conversations and maybe even, converts where people walked in here thinking, gosh, I'm not a craft beer drinker, but
Right.
they left here realizing I might be a craft beer drinker at all. So,
right.
and a lot of that comes from our staff and, and their training and their expertise and knowledge that helps educate the customer on what they might or might not like. You know, a lot of times, not every beer is for everybody. And then the third thing I think I have already hit on, I guess, is just our community involvement. I mean, the things that we get involved with, whether it's a fundraiser or sponsoring an event, whether it's inside here or outside, you know, we take it very seriously that being a part of this community and supporting this community on many different levels is really important. I mean, as I said before, we're a small town, and to have that recognition, I think it's really important to the people of this community that they see and that they feel a part of the businesses that are in this community, just like yours. You know, people, you see these people on many different avenues in life, and to be connected with them on that level, on a business level or on a personal level, it just really adds to that. And I think we're helping kind of create and foster that whole atmosphere and that whole experience by being involved with the community on many different levels.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, no, I think you guys have done a great job. You got a great facility here, great beer. Thank you so much for having us out today. I really appreciate it.
Cheers.
And cheers.